Hello and welcome. Let's unpackage some Twosun knives. Ordered these knives some time ago. The packages were ordered on the 9th, 10th, and 18th respectively. However, they've all showed up on the same day. We're going to use this CIVIVI Mini Asticus to do the unboxing. This was a Jade G10 knife with Damascus blade. I didn't do anything with the blade, but I did do a fade dye job on the Jade G10 using Apricot orange and Daffodil yellow RIT synthetic dye. I'm very happy with the way it came out. I've done a ton of these fade dye G10 knives, and I feel like I've got it down pretty good. I will leave the instructions on how to do a fade dye like this if you'd like in the description. So let's go ahead and get these open. The larger package is the one that was ordered on the 18th. So we'll set that aside for now and just go randomly with the one that's in the middle. So all of these knives were purchased from Dwin on eBay, and they all came from China. And of course the boxes won't be marked, so we'll just have to open it up and see what's inside. I think let's go ahead and get all of the boxes out here. All right, a whole stack of Twosun knives. You know, they're such a good value. You end up buying so many of them that maybe they don't end up being the best value in the end. So let's go ahead and let's work our way through them real quick. Just take a look and have a first look, see what we've got. So this is the TS240, if I recall correctly. And it is anodized. This is their, what they just call collar anodization. Let me grab a towel here. We're not gonna actually open these up or clean them. I just wanted to take a quick look, get some scale, get some initial quality assessment, I guess, maybe, just if there were anything grossly wrong with the knives. All right, so there is a cleaned up TS240 collar with, obviously they've done an entropic heat anodization. It's mostly gold. It makes me wonder if they've actually anodized this gold first and then finished with the heat and acid. TS240 and M390. I liked the milling on the edges here. I think there's a lot of potential in this knife. I think it actually looks pretty good like it is. Night morning design. And so we will we'll put this out of screen and we'll bring it back in once I have the rest of them unboxed. And let's get the Mini Asticus out of the way as well. All right, let's try one from the other end here. Yeah, they started taping these boxes shut, or these packages shut, and I am not the biggest fan of that. Got to cut your way into them, and they're always double wrapped. All right, very oily, very, very oily. All right, so same thing. Let's give it a little wipe here off screen. I'm kind of excited for this one. So this is, we'll get the number here in a second, but this is made with their new steel. We assume it's proprietary YJ01 steel, and it's got a lot of carbon in it, like 3%, which makes it fairly unusual as far as steels go, I think ZDP 189 has a similar carbon content in the knife. Kind of a cool 3D milled design here. It's got nice contouring. A afterthought lanyard loop there. And let's see. Yeah, so I do think that that's probably viable. However, the detent is a little stiff for that currently. And let's look here. So this is a RIHE design. I don't know if that's just Rye design. So YJ01V1 version 1 of the Yangzhen #1 steel on the TS419. Yeah, action seems good again. So far, those both seem solid. Let's see. Yeah, I got to be honest. This one has got to be the one that I'm most excited for out of this batch. I have a personal interest, a little extra interest in integral design knives, which is what this is. This is the TS142 by Mazwan Mokhtar. And again, we're very oily, of course, so let me give you a couple knives to look at while I clean the TS142 here with carbon fiber bolster and micarta handle insert. This is like I feel like this is a medium-sized knife, TS142. All right, let's take a look. Simple cleaning. Pretty simple design. You know, I let the two different handle insert materials keep me away from this knife for some time. I do think that maybe I'm going to come back and dye the micarta black to match, although we'll see. Eventually I'll learn where my camera is at here. Yeah, some interesting, a little bit more polishing on the satin blade than is normal, I think. Or maybe that's just the oil left over. Looks like it's creating a smudge. So TS142 Mazwan Mokhtar in M390, titanium, micarta, and carbon fiber. Let's just see. Maybe the camera will tolerate all of the knives being out here as long as I'm in front of them. I'm always amazed that I never get the wrong knife in a Twosun package since the outside isn't marked. I wonder what their system is. Must just be a bin of knives in boxes or something. Right. This is a TS215, I believe. Although there were three knives that were all somewhat similar in design, and this is the one that I went with. We'll get it open here in a second and I'll verify the number. Yeah, interesting that all of the knives arrived on the same day, even though they were ordered more than a week apart. So might be interesting for you if you're curious about Twosun shipping times and how variable they are. It's just it's potentially just the luck of the draw as far as the timing goes. Historically, I've had most of the shipments from Twosun be a little faster than this. Excellent action. Jelly Jerry design, 14C28N. If I clean enough of the oil off, you might even be able to read that pivot. So recently got a couple Jelly Jerry designs, and he's winning me over, so I've decided to go and check out a little bit more of his work, and you know, it doesn't all speak to me. He has a tendency to make some very large handles, much larger than are actually needed for the blade of the knife, which just means a poor blade to handle ratio. It's not the end of the world, but it is something that I like to look at when I'm deciding which knives to carry. And there are places for very heavy knives, of course, and I do have a number of them. I'm just not always in the mood to carry a very heavy knife. Of course, I suppose a large handle doesn't necessarily mean a heavy knife, just likely. Seems like the back spacers in some of the knives have no weight relieving almost on purpose, like it was the intention to make it very heavy. All right. So, last one here for the day. Another Twosun. Like that shred carbon fiber, that's cool. I've seen a lot of different versions. I kind of like the way this one seems to go back and forth on the pattern. A decent lockup. This is the TS186 in M390. Again, Mazwan Mokhtar. And I'm sorry, I did talk about Jelly Jerry with that one. Yeah, so Jelly Jerry, Mazwan, Night Morning, they're the designers that I seem to come back for the most. The action on this one is a little stiff compared to the others. But all in all, I don't have any strange lock stick or anything like that. Let me line these up here with the edge of my board. And then we'll set out a couple size comparison knives. Don't intend for this to be a heavy comparison, certainly. But I just wanted to give some size reference. So I do have a Benchmade bug out. I know that's a popular size reference knife. My Benchmade bug out is out on loan right now. So we don't have it for comparison. So there's a Paramilitary 2. With aftermarket scales and Maxamet steel. It's a second, it's very off-center, but the size is normal, and you can see it's pretty on par with most of these knives, the TS142 being the one that's a little smaller here. And then this is to replicate the bug out. So this knife is actually the same exact size, length of handle and blade as the bug out, actually within 1% of the same size. Obviously it's going to be a little bit different this way, but if you're used to the length of a bug out, you can see here everything's a little bit larger, and while the handle of the 142 is very similar to the bug out, it looks like the blade, they've managed a little bit more blade in the design, which is interesting because you see the pivot is actually fairly far back in the knife. So part of the wide design for the integral, they had to put that close to the edge. And then maybe the most standard, right? These are Benchmade Griptilian, small and a full size. Yeah, so we're gonna skip the detailed look. I'm gonna come back to some of these probably on reviews, and we'll look at them in more detail. But again, we have the TS240. The TS419, the TS142, the TS215, and the TS186. And I think some of these probably have names. Sometimes they're named. I don't know the names offhand. We'll cover that in more detail later. More to come. Thanks for joining me.